Okay. Just before 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
the camera alarm went off.
Okay.
And there was somebody in the drive trying car doors.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I don't know how long ago it is now, about 10 minutes ago, the alarm went off again.
Yeah.
So I quickly threw on my clothes, came out and found the guy trying car doors just here. I'll show you.
Okay.
He was in between those two grey cars there.
Right, okay.
Trying a car door handle.
Yeah.
And I shouted at him, you know, what you doing?
Yeah.
I said, I know what you're up to.
Yeah.
And he came towards me and said, no mate, I'm just looking for a light. Got a light? Right.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And I said, stay there. This went on a minute or so.
Yeah, yeah.
He whacked his bike into me, which is how I got that bruise.
Okay.
So he was like this with the bike, and I stood where you are, and he was just going, no mate, and then went like that to try and get away.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had a knife in my hand, and then he ran at me.
Okay.
Right. And then he held himself there.
Okay.
And then he argued for a bit, and he seemed to be play acting a bit, if I'm honest.
Okay.
And then ran off.
What's your name?
David King.
David. Just go and stand over there for me a minute, David. I'm just going to make a call, alright? Based on what's happened, okay, a male has just been found around the corner with serious injuries to his chest, okay?
Right, okay.
And for that reason, I'm going to be arresting you, okay, on suspicion of grievous bodily harm with intent, okay? So,
do you mind if I go change? Because I haven't got any underpants on the rent.
Okay, not at the minute.
We'll
I'd like
bring
to
some extra clothes if
seriously.
you need to, but we
And
need
I've got
to.
my house keys here. Can I at least give them
just
to my
keep your
wife?
hands out your pockets, okay? Just,
Oh,
Mate,
come
listen,
on.
listen.
mate,
I know.
just hold on a minute,
Look,
okay? Let me finish and let me explain things, okay? This is quite a serious offence, okay? I need you to stay in the clothes that you're in
Okay.
for evidential purposes, okay? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but the bit that doesn't make
Okay.
sense is the fact that somebody's tried to
Just
steal.
let my
No, let me
colleague
finish, right, okay?
Yeah.
You are remain under caution, okay? So I'll repeat that. You don't have to say anything, but at my own defence, if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you may later rely on in court,
Yeah.
anything you do say may be given evidence, okay?
A father and son convicted of murdering a thief in a vigilante attack with a ninja sword and a knife have been jailed. David King and his son Edward killed Neil Charles after being alerted by CCTV that a thief appeared to be operating in Bury St Edmunds, Suffolk. Mr. Charles, who had a number of previous convictions for theft and burglary, had been trying to open doors on cars and houses on the night he was fatally stabbed in June 2021. The Kings, who had a fascination with weapons, made no attempt to contact police before carrying out the killing and went out to take the law into their own hands. After they were convicted of murder following a trial at Ipswich Crown Court, both men were given life sentences by a judge. David King was jailed for at least 21 years, while his son Edward received a minimum prison term of 19 years. The two men showed no reaction as they were led to the cells. On the night of the murder, David King armed himself with a double-edged fighting knife resembling a dagger, which was used to inflict the fatal wound on Mr. Charles. Tesco worker Edward King, who was 18 at the time of the killing, brought a 27-inch ninja sword that wounded Mr. Charles above his left knee during the attack. The sword was also used to stab the tyre of the victim's pushbike, which he left at the scene. Police said Mr. Charles was some distance from the King's property and was heading away from it when the father and son caught up with him. A post-mortem found 47-year-old from Bury St Edmunds died from a single 12 cm stab wound to his chest. David King made a 999 call shortly before 4 a.m. on 20 June 2021, telling police a man had been trying to steal from his car on the Morton Hall estate. He said he had tried to apprehend the alleged thief who had run off. He also admitted having a knife in his hand and told the operator that the man claimed he was injured by the weapon before he had fled. Officers found David King in Winsford Road, away from his address and where the stabbing took place. The victim was discovered in another part of Winsford Road and was taken to Addenbrooke's Hospital but died 2 days later. David King was arrested at the scene, while Edward was detained by police later that day. Suffolk police said analysis of the King's text messages revealed they had a fascination with weapons and following previous thefts in the area, a clear intent and desire to deal with any perceived criminals themselves. The father and son, both of Radnor, close in Bury St Edmunds, were rearrested in October 2021 and were charged with murder. During their trial, David King, 56, and his 20-year-old son, Edward, denied intentionally killing Mr. Charles. David King claimed he had disturbed Mr. Charles in the act of trying to break into his car, and the suspected thief had run into his knife. However, prosecutors said the two men had actively gone out together to hunt down and attack Mr. Charles in what can only be described as an act of vigilantism. A jury found David and Edward King guilty of murder by a unanimous verdict.